Hello everybody, welcome to our webinar today with Turnkey Technologies and Panatrack. I just want to start off with a big thanks to everybody who's joining us today and taking time out of your busy schedule. My name is Brad Vorbeck. I work in marketing here at Turnkey Technologies. We also have Alex Rode from PannaTrack with us, and today Alex is going to be showing you how to better manage your inventory and assets with your processes directly integrated in Microsoft Dynamics GP. Just a little bit about Turnkey Technologies before I hand it off to Alex. We are a Gold Microsoft Dynamics partner that was founded in 1994 in St. Louis, Missouri. We've got quite a large practice for Dynamics GP as well as Dynamics 365, CRM, Power BI, and Office 365. And our primary focus is in helping businesses adopt and make full use of their Microsoft solutions. And so we offer frequent webinars, user group meetings, and other learning opportunities to try and show you what may be possible for your solution or maybe open up some new doors to solving the current challenges you're facing. And so today we're excited to present this webinar with PannaTrack, and I hope you find a lot of value in the information that Alex is going to present to you. Please feel free to ask questions during the webinar. We'll get those answered at the end during a Q&A session. And also we are going to be recording this webinar, so we will send that out to you in a follow-up email tomorrow as well. So please keep an eye out for that. And so with that said, I'm going to go ahead and pass it off to Alex with PannaTrack. Alex, you want to take over?
All right. Well, thank you everybody for joining us today. Like Brad said, at any time, if you have questions, please do feel free to go ahead and ask those in the chat there, and we'll make sure we have time at the end for it. I'm Alex with PannaTrack. I'm one of our solution consultants here at our Milwaukee office. And today we're going to go through a little bit of information on taking control of your inventory and assets with PannaTrack or GP. So we'll move on. We'll talk a quick bit of our agenda here. The first thing we're going to do is start off with some of the key inventory features in Dynamics GP. You've made the investment. Turnkey's had you up and running quite well. Things are going swimmingly with Dynamics, but we know that inventory tracking, inventory accuracy, and the ability to keep things 100% need to be maintained. So we'll look at what Dynamics GP can offer you for your inventory control. Then we'll talk a little bit about the PannaTrack or GP product and do an introduction to the solutions that PannaTrack offers for Dynamics GP users. We'll touch on Barcode Technology and some of the capabilities that you have using a barcode solution like PannaTrack. And finally, we'll use a few minutes of our time to look at a few PannaTrack or GP transactions. All right, with that being said, let's jump right in. We'll get started with the key inventory features of Dynamics GP. The main inventory transactions that you see up on the screen here are representative of the workflow for most companies' inventory processes. It's coming in from a vendor or a manufacturer. Oftentimes it may be adjusted either in or out depending on damage, quality control. We're fulfilling orders, shipping that inventory out to our customers, maintaining happy customers out there, and keeping things flowing smoothly in the warehouse. On the warehouse side, we're maintaining inventory stock with counts. We're also supporting things like site and bin transfers. Manufacturing is another element that Dynamics GP offers to its users to track that inventory, the raw materials that come in, the work in progress, the manufacturing orders, and that finished goods that are then sent out to our customers. Finally, many GP users are very dependent on the ability to issue inventory and manage their projects and jobs through their existing ERP. All of these and many more are what PannaTrack allows you to capture on handheld scanners, and we'll get into that a little bit more as we move forward. Some of the main features on top of those transactions are the ability to track inventory by lot or serial. That means inventory that is serialized, like phones, computers, technology, even medical devices, medical implements, testing equipment, things like that. Lot numbers or batch numbers for those in food and beverage manufacturing, for those working with inventory that comes in and may have an expiration date or needs to be tracked for different government or governing body regulations. Of course, GP supports reason codes, reporting on your inventory, site and bin locations, and of course, what I have there, the alternate manufacturer ID, or the key step, the key element to being able to effectively barcode your inventory. Moving on, we'll talk a little bit here about multi-bin tracking. Multi-bin tracking is a tool that allows you to take your inventory one step further. Instead of saying, I have all my widgets in a warehouse, we can now identify where in that warehouse those widgets are located, whether that's by pallet rack, whether that's by shelf location, whether that's by section of the warehouse. You can configure all of that within Dynamics GP and use barcode scanning like PannaTrack to capture your inventory moves and adjustments between those locations seamlessly and effortlessly. Of course, the Turnkey team is there every step of the way to make sure that your team can implement and use those multiple bin locations to their fullest extent. There's plenty of setup options here in Dynamics GP, and you'll be able to take a look at this slide here in the recording of our webinar if you'd like to get into things a little bit deeper. Of course, you can always reach out to Turnkey and reach out to PannaTrack, and we'll be happy to walk you through that as well. You can set up default bins by site or by item to make your inventory picking, your inventory receiving process that much smoother. Priority bins for overstocks and min-max quantities are supported as well. Now we'll touch on the manufacturer item cross-reference, that manufacturer ID that we touched on earlier. This is the ability to link manufacturer item numbers or barcodes, UPCs, the Universal Product Code, something we've seen on anything we've ever bought at Target or the grocery store. We can link all of that information with our Dynamics GP item number. The most prevalent question I get here as a solution consultant at PannaTrack is, how can I use the barcodes I already have? They're completely different from my GP item numbers. And the trick is with this native functionality provided by Dynamics GP. Right inside of your existing ERP system, we have the ability to link barcodes, to link manufacturer item numbers to your GP items. PannaTrack takes full advantage of that native capability by allowing your users to scan barcodes into our application and automatically translate and populate your GP item number for each and every transaction you make. Looking at some of the ability to utilize the multi-bin locations, we have up on the screen here some of our great features. Order fulfillment, bin moves, bin put away transactions, and that we'll get into as we get to the PannaTrack application. But the ability to move inventory between bins, to stop recording every transaction on paper, passing that through, maybe you write it down at the receiving dock when you receive a PO. That gets handed off to Jim. He puts it in the folder. Eventually someone else comes along, they pick that up, they look at the piece of paper. Finally, whether it's an hour, a day, or a week later, that information gets keyed manually into Dynamics. When it's keyed in, we have to hope that whoever wrote down the purchase order receipt, whoever recorded the order fulfillment or the item bin move, we have to hope that we can read their handwriting. I know personally, with my handwriting, it probably would be difficult to tell if it was a 3, an 8, or the letter B. That's just me, and I know I'm a pretty good representative of some of the handwriting we see out in the world. Let's take a look now at some of the key features, the overview features for PannaTracker GP. What is PannaTrack? What can it offer your team? And how can that best be used to keep your inventory accurate? We'll start out, before we get into anything more, with a quick introduction to what PannaTrack is. We are an ISV dedicated solely to the Dynamics GP channel, who've been creating an inventory and asset control solution available to any and all Dynamics GP users since the early 2000s. We've been in the barcode game for quite a long time, and we're quite proud of what we've built. PannaTracker GP is an application running on mobile computers, much like what you've seen at Target, at the grocery store, or your FedEx and UPS driver carrying. Utilizing mobile barcode scanning computers like that, PannaTrack allows your team to capture transactions in the warehouse, in the stockroom, in the lab, when and where they occur. Let's take a look at some of the key steps to the inventory process here on the screen. What you've got there is a breakdown of generic understanding of how inventory can flow through a warehouse. This covers everything we may do. It comes in on a purchase order. It's counted, it's adjusted, it's moved. It may be issued out, whether that's to manufacturing, to assembly. Maybe it's issued out to projects and jobs. If it's gone out to assembly or manufacturing, we then record the production. We remove the finished good, the raw materials, and we bring those finished goods into your warehouse, into your inventory stock. Finally, the most important part for many of our customers, but certainly not all, is the ability to ship that inventory out, fulfill your inventory to customers. PannaTrack removes the need for any of the steps you see on the screen here and many more to capture transactions on paper or whiteboards or even Excel. We've all seen it. We're doing things the way we've done them forever. Instead, PannaTrack or GP is here to offer you and your team the ability to fully capitalize on the GP solution, the ERP you already have in place, capturing your transactions when and where they occur, validating and verifying every step of the way against your Dynamics GP infrastructure. As I said, PannaTrack or GP is an embedded inventory solution designed exclusively for Dynamics GP users. Important points to note here. At no point are we duplicating your inventory records. We're not storing transactions in a separate database and forcing them together, mashing data and hoping things match up and link up at the end of the day. There's never any need to reconcile systems or maintain separate integrations. Everything PannaTrack does utilizes Dynamics GP as the host database. Whether we're receiving a purchase order, we're doing a stock count, we're fulfilling a sales order. Everything that happens on the PannaTrack scanners is based exclusively and solely in your Dynamics GP database. Using Microsoft's native eConnect tool, allowing our application to interface directly with Dynamics, not only gives you real-time visibility and real-time validation, it removes the need for any GP user licenses for your PannaTrack users. At no point do we have a computer off running in the corner scraping things into GP. At no point are we worried about somebody over there and don't touch the keyboard, it's going to screw up the macro. PannaTrack does everything following Microsoft's native functionality. With PannaTrack or GP and Barcode Technology, you're adding efficiency to your inventory transactions. You have a simple user interface designed for anybody in the warehouse, whether they're the high school student who's making money for the summer, or if it's Jerry who's been in the warehouse since 1981, 1970 even. We have employees from all walks of life using our application and customers from the northern reaches of Canada all the way down to Australia. Anybody can pick up the PannaTrack application and use it easily. We're improving your accuracy. I've mentioned it, I've said it a few times, real-time validation, real-time verification. What that means is when a user interacts with the PannaTrack scanner, we are checking every step of their transaction when they select the item, when they select quantities, when they submit that transaction from the handheld. And we're making sure that that matches with what GP has and is expecting. You can't receive inventory that wasn't on a purchase order against a PO on the PannaTrack scanners. We're going to tell the user this isn't part of that purchase order. Something very important for many of our customers means when you are fulfilling a sales order, we've all seen it when we're ordering something, whether it's from Amazon or Bed Bath & Beyond, wherever it may be, and we get it and it's a shirt. Maybe we got that shirt in the wrong size or the wrong color. Somebody sent us a product and all we can say is close but no cigar. PannaTrack removes the chance of that happening by requiring a barcode scan to validate that order pick every step of the way. We'll look at that a little bit more when we get into the application itself. The elimination of paper-based tracking. Some customers say, oh, we'd still like to keep a paper pick list or a paper rider or something over at the PO dock or the receiving dock when we're handling our POs, and that's fine. But as I've said before, instead of capturing your transactions on paper, scribbling them down, setting them off to the side, waiting for somebody to come over, pick that up, log into Dynamics, and type everything in by hand, which is what most companies are doing nowadays. We give you the ability to capture those transactions on the scanners and remove the need for that paper, remove the need for that waiting process. Finally, looking at the GP, or the PannaTracker GP users. As I've mentioned, at no point does PannaTrack eat a GP seat. You can set your PannaTrack configurations by profile. Those profiles are assigned to your different users. At no point does PannaTrack limit the number of users our customers can have. You can license yourself by device for 1, 2, 3, 4 scanners, all the way up to more than 100 scanners like some of our customers have. But if you're running multiple shifts, maybe you have 20 scanners. You may have 40 or 60 users, and PannaTrack isn't penalizing you for that. PannaTrack isn't requiring any additional licensing for those users. You simply need to have licenses for the devices your customers are using, your employees are using. Those users can be forced to log into the PannaTrack scanner so that each transaction in the logging database has the ability to see exactly when, where, and who, or by whom, a transaction was conducted. We'll look at that a little bit more. The PannaTrack application is built up out of 3 main components. Those 3 components are going to be the PannaTrack portal, and the first of those components is going to be the PannaTrack portal, which I have pulled up on the screen here for you to look at. This is the administration dashboard. This is where you can handle your configuration, look at your users, work on your transaction logs. Any and all of that can be captured and evaluated right here through a simple, easy-to-use, browser-based solution. Following the PannaTrack portal is your Dynamics GP database, and we'll jump into that in just a moment. I mentioned transaction logging. I mentioned configuration settings. This is a sample of all of the different configurations, all of the different settings that you can maintain within Dynamics GP, from default sites and units of measure to reason codes and transaction access. Everything there can be configured from the PannaTrack scanner, or from the PannaTrack portal, and updated on the PannaTrack scanners in real time. Just one moment, and we'll jump forward again, and we'll take a look here at the layout of the PannaTrack infrastructure. So what we've got up on the screen now is a breakdown of the infrastructure for the PannaTracker GP solution. In the middle, or in the top left corner, and the heart of everything PannaTrack does is the PannaTracker, or is the Dynamics GP database. That is the host database for all of your inventory and your asset transactions. Now today we are focusing pretty heavily on the inventory side of the PannaTracker infrastructure and the PannaTracker application. Of course, if you'd like to talk about fixed assets at all, reach out to Brad, reach out to your Turnkey rep, and I'll be more than happy to set up one-on-one with me a time to review the Dynamics GP fixed assets solution from PannaTracker. In the middle is that PannaTrack dashboard I talked about. That's your transaction logging, a carbon copy of everything that is created and submitted into Dynamics GP. It also, as I mentioned, handles all of your configurations, both on a system setting and a user profile capabilities. Finally, on the right is that mobile computer. That is the scanner we talked about that allows you and your team to capture transactions in the warehouse, in the stockroom, wherever it may be, making sure that everything gets pushed into Dynamics GP in real time. Next up, let's take a look at some of the PannaTracker extensibility options that are part of our application and what it can do for your team. The first thing I'd like to look at is the PannaTrack or flex fields. These are user-definable fields that can be used to capture additional information on your transactions. Following this slide, we'll look at one of our transactions that supports a whole host of flex fields. These user-definable fields can be configured. They can be based on names. We can set behaviors. We can even add stored procedures for lookup lists and validations. What that means is you have the ability to capture even more data on the PannaTrack scanner and map that back into GP as you see fit throughout the PannaTrack application. Looking here, you can see our receiving transaction. And what I've done is I've broken down and enabled every single flex field we support there for purchase order receipts. Now it's important to note you're not required to use any of these additional capabilities that PannaTrack offers. If your team says we don't need flex fields, our information that we capture is pretty basic, everything you see here circled in a colored box can be disabled and turned off. Or you can turn on just one or two flex fields as the need may arise. You can see I've got flex fields on the transaction level, on the unit level. I even have flex fields available for my different item types. 2 for bulk, 2 for serial, and 2 for lot tracked items. Finally, on my post-transaction screen before it's submitted into Dynamics, I give you the ability to capture an additional 4 flex fields. Bring in any information that your team needs, turning these flex fields on and off to match your exact business processes. When you implement the PannaTrack or GP solution, one of our professional services team leads will work with you to determine exactly what, if any, flex fields your team needs and how those can best be used to match your workflows. On the fixed asset side, we also offer extensibility options. Dynamics GP supports 15 user-defined fields within the fixed asset module. Those 15 user-defined fields can be configured however you see fit, and PannaTrack gives our users the ability to capture those user-defined fields on the scanners in real time. So whether those are last maintained dates, any other information you may need to capture, you can see here I've simply turned one on called custom and one on called last maintained. And those allow us to enter in information. Those can even be made to work off of a list and require valid dates or valid data based on your GP configuration. In addition to your extensibility options in PannaTrack and the PannaTrack portal, and I've mentioned already, is our transaction logging. This transaction logging capability is creating a carbon copy of everything that is fed from PannaTrack or GP into Dynamics in real time, and gives you the ability to log into your portal or dashboard and see exactly when a transaction was created, the status of the transaction, the device, the user, the profile name. Will even show you the corresponding GP transaction number in the dashboard so that you can cross-reference those as you see fit. This PannaTrack portal can even be used to filter down to show me only transactions by a certain user or only transactions in a certain time frame. This is not a separate database. This is simply a carbon copy of what PannaTrack submitted into GP as it happens. Looking here, you can see my transaction log for a receiving transaction I captured. It looks like a long time ago. And you can see I've got my transaction code, my device, my user, my purchase order number. It even shows me each and every scan that we made and what was captured in that. This is a full audit history of the transactions that your PannaTrack scanners captured and is available to anyone on your team who needs access to it through an easy-to-use web portal. Now we'll talk a little bit about Barcode Technology. So we've looked at how PannaTrack gives you some awesome features. We've talked about the sort of transactions and support for inventory tracking that Dynamics has built in within it. And now we're going to talk about Barcode Technology itself, the physical scanning and printing of labels, all the different information that is relevant to your team to utilize the most effective ways to capture your data. So the first thing we'll look at here is PannaTrack or GP's label printing support. So of course, we wouldn't be a robust barcode solution who's been in the game for coming up on 20 years now if we didn't offer you the ability to print barcode labels throughout our application. Whether it's when you're receiving inventory, adjusting it in, maybe you're completing a manufacturing order or an assembly transaction and you need to print labels for your inventory. PannaTrack can support that every step of the way. Additionally, we've enabled label printing at a host of other transactions, including but not limited to the site transfers, bin moves. Even our item inquiry screen gives your team the ability to print inventory labels when you need it. Shown on the right of my screen is a list of 6 different sample labels that I've created just as something I can show you, the different style labels that you can have here. PannaTrack has users who are printing labels as small as on a 1x1 sticker all the way up to a 4x6 inventory label, much like you see on the outside of your UPS packages. In addition to printing barcodes, PannaTrack supports advanced barcode control. One of the most popular is the GS1 barcode format that we find in many distribution environments. This GS1 128 barcode example includes an item, a lot number, an expiration date, and even a weight. You can see here I've broken down for you the ability to see exactly what the PannaTrack scanner will pull out. So we look at the barcode, we scan the barcode, and just like that, the information is populated into the PannaTracker application. The item number, the lot number, the expiration date, and the quantity. All of that can be pulled through in a single scan from an industry standard barcode. If your team's not relying on industry standard barcodes, if you want something a little bit more your own, we've created the PannaCode composite format. This is a PannaTrack specific barcode format that allows us to incorporate any number of bits of information into a single barcode. My examples I have on the screen here. On the left, you see an item number and a serial number. On the right, we see another item with a lot number and a unit of measure. These are barcodes that PannaTrack will work with you to create that can be printed through the PannaTrack application or whose format can be given to your vendors. And you can tell your vendor, I need you to be printing this barcode on my package for me. And you can take full advantage, reducing your number of scans and increasing your data validation every step of the way. Now we're looking at a little bit more of the PannaTracker GP features, some key features that you may find interesting. The first off is our data entry options. Now this is going to be an introduction to the PannaTracker application on the scanner, what your users are going to be doing and interacting with, as well as the different transactions available. The first we see here is our ability to capture data on the PannaTrack scanner. I said scan. I've said scanning, and I've said scan it a whole bunch in our half hour already, and I'm sure I'm going to say it plenty more. But in addition to scanning barcodes, PannaTrack gives our users the ability to use lookup lists. This is something much like the little magnifying glass you have in Dynamics that allows your users to see on the scanner all of the different valid options for that field. The boxes to the around the field names on the left of the PannaTrack screen there indicate to a PannaTrack user that there is a lookup list available. They can simply tap on that box, or they can tap on the down arrow key of their PannaTrack scanner and access a lookup list, which will give them, in our case on the screen here, all of the line items available on a purchase order to be received. If a user isn't scanning in data and isn't using a PannaTrack lookup list, they do have a keypad available on their PannaTrack device that will allow them to manually enter in that data that they need. When they hit enter, when they move to their next field after typing in the data, PannaTrack is going to validate that against what's available in GP. Just like with a barcode scan, as soon as it is into the PannaTrack application, we're checking that against your host database of Dynamics to make sure that it is accurate and valid information for the transaction. Now let's look at some of the PannaTracker transactions specifically. The first thing we're looking at here is our core inventory transactions. This is what we see as the base for most of our customers. Inventory comes in, it's moved, it might be adjusted or counted, anything like that. Everything with the PannaTrack application is based on this core solution. That core solution includes the back-end server component, the PannaTrack portal that we talked about, all of your configuration settings, users, devices, transaction logging, email notifications are available through the PannaTracker GP application. Of course, label printing support can be added on. This is the building block, the base Lego to the PannaTrack application. Moving on, we have our ability to add for our distribution customers. This is the ability to fulfill your sales orders one by one, do an order verification or a pack transaction on the PannaTrack scanner. Of course, we support batch picking with order grouping. So if you need to do batch or wave picking through your warehouse, that can all be configured and accomplished with the PannaTracker GP application. Of course, we can assign tracking details, and we have an integration to ship pack tables that are shared with some of the major shipping solution providers for Dynamics GP. Additionally, PannaTrack supports directed transfer and manufacturing customers. Manufacturing is for those customers, as I've mentioned before, who are bringing in raw material. They're using Dynamics GP manufacturing. They may be using Horizon or Vicinity manufacturing even. PannaTrack integrates with all of those solutions. Additionally, we integrate with and support the Dynamics GP assembly transaction. This is native functionality that Dynamics GP that allows you to do bills of materials to remove and add new inventory. Our directed transfer infrastructure is the ability to create and manage internal transfer orders between locations for customers who have multiple warehouses, maybe 2 warehouses and 4 stores, whatever that may be. If we're moving inventory between warehouses on a regular basis, the directed transfer infrastructure gives your users the ability to request inventory, to handle that inventory transfer as a order fulfillment style transaction. So if we're moving small widgets between 2 warehouses with that order fulfill transaction set up, we're validating every time we pick an inventory item for that move that the user is picking the correct item. We're no longer worried about sending the wrong size valve or the wrong size t-shirt between warehouses. This is all validated every step of the way. PannaTrack supports many other industries than just distribution or manufacturing. We have customers in the stockroom, customers running medical environments where they're moving inventory from a main location to storage closets and issuing it to patient rooms. We have customers in laboratories who are running detailed genetic testing. I think we have a PannaTrack customer in pretty much every industry, from breweries to book printing, from education to lending companies. The PannaTracker GP application is robust and scalable and can be taken advantage of by pretty much anyone utilizing the Dynamics GP infrastructure. Now let's talk a little bit about the PannaTrack solution review capabilities. Of course, you can talk to Turnkey, talk to Brad, or whoever your Turnkey contact is, and we will be more than happy to schedule you a one-on-one session with our team here at PannaTrack to review the exact sort of workflows and processes that your team follows and how the Dynamics GP infrastructure can work with PannaTracker GP to streamline your efficiency and to increase your accuracy of every transaction throughout. We're going to look here at a quick PannaTracker demo. This is going to focus on 5 main transactions. The first thing we'll look at is receiving a purchase order. We'll then look at put away and bin moves. We'll touch very briefly on order fulfillment with a basic order fulfill transaction. We'll look at the directed transfer features, and then we'll look at the GP stock count schedule, the ability to actually do your physical stock counts instead of printing out paper and going out and writing them all down. So with that said, let's jump right in. And what I'm pulling up on your screen in just a moment here is the PannaTracker GP application that's running in my hand. This is the physical scanner that I'm sitting at my desk with. And we're going to go ahead and we're going to tap the Inventory In button. We're going to select our Receive Inventory transaction. If you see transactions here that interest you that you may want to ask about, go ahead, put it in the questions, chat. Let us know. Let your Turnkey Turnkey rep know, and we'll set you up a demonstration to review everything with you personally. So for our purposes here, I've created a very simple purchase order. I'm going to use my PannaTrack lookup list by tapping on that field name, and I can sort all of my available vendors. I'm going to go ahead and use my type ahead filtering. So this is the ability to hit V or any letter and shorten my available list to only my options that start with that letter. In this case, we've got V, and we're going to go ahead down here and we're going to select our vendor. Now that we've done that, I can capture the purchase order that I'm going to be receiving. I could have even skipped my vendor filter and just gone right down to my PO filter. If it was barcoded on my pack list, I could scan my purchase order number. In our case, we're going to use that PannaTrack lookup list one more time, and we're going to type in PO. And for our purposes today, I've created purchase order 0525. And we're going to scroll down to that purchase order and hit enter. We've now told the system the purchase order that we're going to be receiving. This is pulling all of the information available from Dynamics GP. We've got here our vendor document ID number, and this gives us the ability to capture information. We're going to skip our vendor document field, and we're right down here into item. Now this is our time to shine. This is where we're going to remove the need to mark things off on paper, and you're about to see me capture these transactions. The first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to pull my items out of the box and I'm going to scan the barcode. You'll notice it populates a string of numbers, translates that there into our GP item number, and asks me for the quantity that I'm going to be receiving. Just like that, I can say to my system, I'm receiving 50. I pulled out 50 of my mail adapter widgets. We hit enter, and now the user is ready to receive their next item. I can scan my next item as it comes out of the box. It populates my site. I have a default receiving bin set up, and it populates that as well. I can now enter in the quantity that I've received. We'll say 25, and hit enter. Let's use our lookup list. Let's take a look at all of the items on our PO. On this purchase order, you can see I have 3 line items. 1, 2, and 3 are available right there on the screen. In the top right corner, it's actually showing you the quantity of items that I'm expecting to receive. Our second line item already shows that we've received everything. There's no more expected. I can hit select. Now it's asking me to capture the bin location. I can use my lookup list, and I can select whatever bin I am going to receive that inventory to, and key in my quantity on the scanner. I can then scan my last item, receive my remaining quantity, and go to my review screen. On the review screen here, you're seeing exactly what your user sees in the warehouse. They now know these are the items that we received. You can see our quantity of 75, 25, 35, and they can hit submit. That transaction is now in GP. There's not a piece of paper floating around with some numbers and signatures scribbled on it. We're not waiting for someone to pick it up and type it in. That transaction, PRCV00918, is now available right here in Dynamics GP. Now I know GP can be a small screen. I know you probably spend a lot of your day looking at it. So we're going to look at this very quickly. We're going to jump into purchasing. From purchasing, we're going to take a look at our receiving transactions. Using our lookup there, we see our PRCV00918. When we select that, you see right here in GP, all that information's been pulled through. The batch ID is available. This transaction can be posted, and your receiving can be completed and against your GL just like that. We've removed the paper from the process, and you're now capturing all of that directly on the PannaTrack scanner. Now we've looked at receiving our inventory. Maybe we need to look at putting it away. If we're using bin locations and we want to move our inventory, we can go into our inventory track screen, and we can go to put away. That put away transaction allows me to tell the system what bin am I working with. We'll use our lookup list, and I'm going to go to bin receiving dock. And just like that, you can see I have 3 items in my receiving dock, and I can hit the move button, and now my user in the warehouse doesn't have to write things down and carry them around. They can simply scan the barcode, walk over to the bin they're using. They can move it to bin A100 and tell the system I'm moving 25. They can walk up to their next item and they can do the exact same thing. Scan the bin location. Let's go ahead, let's use our lookup list. Let's pick a different bin. Let's go to bin 102B. Select bin 102B, and they say I'm moving just 1 item. And they hit submit. There's no review button on this screen because PannaTrack is creating those bin moves in your Dynamics GP database in real time. You move that bin, you move that inventory between bins on the PannaTrack scanner, and just like that, your GP inventory is updated. All right, so we moved our inventory from our receiving dock to our put-away bins. Let's take a quick look here because we're running out of time, and I know we want to leave some time for questions and anything else. So what we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and jump right into an order fulfillment transaction. This is great for anybody in distribution, anybody who's worried about making sure that everything they ship out is accurate. 90% accuracy is not acceptable in today's market on order fulfillments. Customers are expecting 100% accuracy every time. PannaTrack gives you the ability to make sure your users are validating things every step of the way. The first thing we're going to do is select the order that we are picking. In this case, we could scan that in off of a paper pick list, or we can type that in with ORD 1993. When we put in that, the first thing your users see on the PannaTrack scanner is going to be the pick list. Here are all of the items on that order that need to be fulfilled for your customer. And just like that, they can hit pick. Now I'm sure some of you recognize this as the old GP demo data. Yes, we live and die by that demo data here in PannaTrack. So we're going to go ahead and we're going to fulfill our order. The first thing that happens is we're asked what bin we are picking from. We say bin 102. Now this is a great step. This is right here, PannaTrack showing you that we are validating against GP in real time, people. We are saying there is not enough inventory in this bin. Now I have given my user, or myself in this case, the ability to create an adjustment transaction as part of this and say, yes, we're still going to pick from that bin. This is a rare use case and something that I like to show off, but most of our customers aren't using. We're going to say no. We're going to select from a different bin location. So we've got our bin picked. Now we're at the validate item stage. This is where we're making sure your user cannot pick the wrong item. When a user scans a barcode and that barcode does not match the item that they are supposed to be picking, PannaTrack does this. We throw up a message, and nothing can happen on the scanner until the user acknowledges that message, like so, and finds the correct item. Once they find the correct item, they can simply scan it, validating that they've picked the right item. We can key in their quantity. We can also set it so users, each scan counts as one item. And when we hit enter, We update that and say this has been fully picked, and we move the user to the next line item. When they get to that line item, they can scan the barcode, pick the item off the shelf. When they scan the barcode, we notice it's the correct barcode for the order, and we tell the system we're picking 40. That's all we have. There's no more. I don't have any more than this. I am shipping them 40, and we can back order or cancel the rest of that order. That's something we'll look at in just a moment. The user can hit the next button to move to the final line in their order fulfillment transaction. We need them to validate the item by scanning the barcode. We've done that, and we pick the 25 that we're expected to pick. Once we've finished our third line item or our final line item, the user is taken to the review screen automatically. The review screen here shows them, here are the line items. Easy visual indicators on the left say this is fully picked, or a warning triangle saying, hey, this is not fully picked. The user can go back out, they can find the additional 10 items they need, or in our case, we're going to back order those items. The user is going to say, yes, this is everything, this order is fulfilled on my end, and they hit submit. They're told this is not fully picked. Would you like to submit this as a partial? They'll say yes, and now they're asked who they would like to back order. I've given my users the ability to choose whether to back order or cancel inventory. We're going to say yes, back order that inventory. And just like that, the transaction is submitted. Your sales order that was created in Dynamics, whether that's by a third-party ISV, whether that's by somebody on your customer service team creating orders. Any sales order that's in GP, we fulfill. We mark that sales order as fulfilled. We've confirmed every step of the way that order was fulfilled accurately, and we update GP in real time. Now, I know we said we'd talk about some stock counts and some directed transfer features. We're running very short on time here, so I will show you our PannaTrack stock count transaction by going into my inventory track and my count stock button. I can select the stock count. This is based on a site and a bin location. And just like that, we're ready to count our items. You can see here with my lookup list all of the different items that need to be counted and the icons showing us that they have yet to be counted. Once an inventory item is counted, we submit that transaction. You can see the code right on the bottom. We update the Dynamics GP stock count schedule and Dynamics GP stock count entry in real time from our scanner. Instead of printing out 200 pages of inventory items and taking a day, 2 days, 3 days, having your people walking all over the warehouse counting things by hand and marking them off on Post-its, PannaTrack gives your users on the scanners the ability to capture that data each and every step in real time, updating GP in real time. Now, we've run our course here. We've got about 10 minutes left for any questions that anybody would like to put into the chat windows. With that being said, let's go ahead and let's open this up for any of the questions that may come in. Of course, if there's anything you'd like to see further, contact PannaTrack, contact Turnkey, and we'll be more than happy to show you anything and everything that you need out of the PannaTracker GP application for inventory or asset tracking.